Welcome to the Ask Junior Daily Judgment podcast. I'm Priya Sharma, and joining me today is Arjun Gupta.
Hello, everyone. We're excited to dive into today's important judgments. But before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast if you enjoy our daily legal breakdowns.
That's right. Your support helps us reach more listeners and continue providing in-depth analysis of the latest court decisions. Now, let's get started with today's cases.
Today's episode revolves around a complex legal issue surrounding compassionate appointments, particularly the rights of a married or widowed daughter of a deceased employee. The case we're analyzing is Punitha Bhatt alias Punitha Dhawan versus Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, BSNL, decided by the Allahabad High Court in India.
Sounds intriguing. This case raises some interesting questions about the scope of family independency.
Absolutely. Let's break it down. The key fact in this case is that Punitha Bhatt, a widowed daughter of a deceased BSNL employee, applied for a compassionate appointment. This means she sought a job in her late father's company based on the hardship her family faced after his death. However, BSNL denied her application, citing their policy that widowed daughters are not included in the list of eligible dependents.
This is where the legal question comes in. Did BSNL's policy violate the legal principles of equality and non-discrimination?
Exactly. The legal question is whether a widowed daughter should be considered a dependent family member under the compassionate appointment scheme, regardless of her marital status.
To answer this question, the court went through several other judgments, setting a precedent on this issue.
You're right, Priya. The Allahabad High Court considered various landmark cases.
So, in the Punitha Bhatt case, the Allahabad High Court essentially followed this line of reasoning. They acknowledged that BSNL's policy was based on their interpretation of a 1998 scheme. However, they concluded that the definition of daughter in that scheme doesn't specify unmarried and should be read inclusively.
That's a key point, Priya. The court is saying that the scheme wasn't explicitly excluding married or widowed daughters.
Exactly. The court also noted that a later BSNL memorandum in 2007 introduced a weightage system for compassionate appointments. While this memorandum referred to unmarried daughters, the court clarified that it only addressed procedural aspects and didn't override the 1998 scheme's substantive provisions.
So, they're saying that the weightage system doesn't justify excluding married daughters from the eligibility criteria itself.
Absolutely. And the court further argued that any distinction between married daughters and married sons in compassionate appointments would be unreasonable and discriminatory, violating Article 14 of the Indian Constitution.
This is important because it's directly linking this case to the fundamental right to equality.
Precisely. The court ultimately held that BSNL could not decline Punitha Bhatt's application for compassionate appointment simply because she was a widowed daughter. They directed BSNL to consider her claim fairly, assigning her weightage points based on her merits and not rejecting her application solely based on her marital status.
This is a big win for Punitha Bhatt and reinforces the principle that compassionate appointments should prioritize dependency and not marital status.
Absolutely, Arjun. This case is a strong reminder that legal policies need to be constantly revisited and updated to reflect societal changes and ensure fairness for all.
And it underscores the importance of having courts that can interpret laws in a way that upholds constitutional principles.
And that wraps up our analysis of today's judgments. We hope you found our discussion informative and engaging.
Before we sign off, we'd like to remind our listeners once again to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you daily updates on the most important legal decisions.
Absolutely. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another exciting episode. Until then, this is Priya Sharma
and Arjun Gupta, signing off. Thanks for listening to the Ask Junior Daily Judgment podcast.